Previously on the Chris Hansen Conversation.
It's not a belief. You just take a look at the history. Just understand if an occurrence, if there's only one occurrence, you can dismiss it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, dismiss it. Several 100,000, come on. We have to pay attention to what's happening.
So basically, you don't believe, but you actually are certain then that we have been visited.
But I don't.
They are here.
I don't talk about it a lot.
I know.
Because
why not?
I have to. Well, there is a fellow who is thinking along similar lines. Now coming out, I don't know why. He's being ostracized. He's being put down. He's being labeled a lunatic. Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard, yeah, the actor?
The actor.
Yeah. He talked about DNA, right?
Has been working on these technologies for the longest time and a different form of mathematics, the one that we're working on.
Yeah.
That forms a crystalline structure for metals in the shape of dodecahedrons, which is very interesting. Now, when you get into a dodecahedron shape for anything that can pull apart, then you begin to realize that if you have magnesium as its center instead of carbon, you'll be able to build devices that are not heard of on this planet. And that's probably the next level of quantum computing, with working with neutrinos and working with these kind of crystalline arrays, because it's a new form of technology. Because with quantum computers, they don't work the same way as black or white on and off switches. We're talking in the area of maybe switches. You think about that. And so
this is blowing my mind. My brain's going to turn into mush very soon.
You combine it with AI technology,
right?
Especially general AI. General AI is the next level of cognizance. And if we are to believe the rumors, and they're just rumors, I have no way to confirm them, that DARPA has already achieved that more than 5-10 years ago. Sentient computers that are able to think for themselves.
Oh boy.
That can learn and learn rapidly, connected to the internet and understanding everything. We're talking Terminator, that Skynet thing and all that. Yeah. Except without all of those other things to consider, imagine a AI system that's able to look at all of your data, especially around creating new devices. Imagine what it could build. Now, you sit there as a scientist, or I sit there and I spend years in a coffee shop in Bulgaria away from prying eyes. Why Bulgaria? Because Professor Lozanov, I want to find the fellow who originated this super learning thing and accelerated learning technologies and all of that. And we worked together. One heater, that's all he needed was 1 or 2 heaters, and they're $30 Singapore to buy. They couldn't afford that. So we got 10 heaters for them. And then all the money I earned from the royalty of my books, Uncommon Sense, Meta Secret, the movies, everything, I told the publisher, send it to his foundation. So they moved him into a hotel in the middle of Sliven, the town. And he, for the rest of his life, which is about only a year and a half, remember, he suffered a lot of strokes.
Yeah.
He and I collaborated, worked and talked about many things. And he got angry with me several times because my ideas were outrageous for him as well. And I kept telling him it's a form of hypnosis. And he said, no, it's not. I said, okay, there's a state called waking hypnosis where you look like you're wide awake, but you're not. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people on stage are able to do this well. And that's the final level of master trainer stuff, right? Where you're able to mesmerize a whole bunch of people into thinking a certain thing. And you do it with language, Ericksonian language, neuro-linguistic, hoo-ha, and all this other stuff. And so when Professor Lozanov was in that place, getting good food, getting clean sheets and clean clothes and everything for a long time, we discussed something about the human mind and its ability. And I told him that it was in effect limitless. And he says, yes, I agree with you. The human mind is limitless in its ability. What's to stop you now? What's to stop a whole bunch of Singaporeans coming together and working on these technologies and believing that we can actually make something happen, like free energy, because the consequence of my device flying and taking off under control and coming back safely is that we will now have energy. Don't point it up. Point the device sideways. It drives a turbine. Now, with free energy comes an ability to turn seawater into fresh water.
Yep.
You know, the whole planet, 98% of our water supply is seawater. The 2% is what we drink. Now, can you imagine an ability for every village on every coastline to be able to manufacture with zero cost energy?
But you guys like you could be stopped by a lot of.
Well, that's why it's in a foundation, and the foundation
It's going to kill the oil and gas business, man.
Well, I don't make a lot of noise. Now I did, and I'm talking. But we have something called a dead man's trigger. Do you know what that is?
No.
If I die, everything I have becomes public knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah. For any reason.
So on the topic of free energy.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a Nikola Tesla kind of thing, man.
It is. I told you, we are taking a lot. Do you know where a lot of his patents are? They were seized.
They were taken away. They were seized by the FBI after his death.
Yeah, that's part of it.
He died alone, right? In his apartment.
That's part of it. Or was killed. We're not sure. And the rest of it is in Croatia.
Oh.
Yeah, and just off the border from...
How'd that happen?
Well, that's where he's from.
Oh, he's correct. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So he didn't stash it all in one place.
No, it's in the museum over there in public view.
Right.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's still there.
I mean, if
it's in a different language, of course, but what the hell, the patents.
If I remember the story well, it was between him and Edison, right? And investors like Merrill Lynch decided to back Edison instead of Tesla because they felt that they could be making money and profits out of Edison's ideas.
I don't know if those were the people. Edison was a common thief. He just stole a lot of people's ideas patents, and made into an American hero because he was American born.
Yeah.
There's a race factor that comes into this as well. But the thing is, Westinghouse was the one who believed in Tesla. Westinghouse. And he funded the building of what we now know as the tourist resort, the Niagara Falls.
Okay.
The entire Niagara Falls Westinghouse power plant is there.
Okay.
And they use the power of the
hydro generators
to create electricity from the water falling.
Yeah. Hydroelectric
power. Right. In fact, you go there to the Niagara Falls. There's a certain park on the right. You see Tesla's photo.
Okay.
Right there as well.
Okay.
And as the fellow who pioneered all of this.
Right.
How he lost and how he didn't make a lot of money was he had a contract that would have made him very, very rich with Westinghouse. But Westinghouse was complaining at that time because of some of the ventures that they were involved in that didn't have a lot of money, said that he couldn't stay in business much longer or help Tesla. So Tesla in front of him tore up the contract. That would have made him super rich and said, you don't have to pay me a dime for any other dynamos you create, royalty programs and all of that. And so that you can continue to fund me. Of course, that didn't work out. And Westinghouse did not continue funding him and he died or was killed. We don't know which. But the point is all of his inventions and clues are on the internet. That's why I love the internet so much, because you can find it in not just English, search in other languages as well. You'll find discussions that he's had. You find the voice of Nikola Tesla and hear what he sounds like as well. And hear about what his ideas are about learning. And he could increase learning capacity in it by infusing the classroom with certain copper wires in a certain configuration that would increase people's learning capability. Now, these are not new. They're being used all the time in radio.
It's called feng shui.
Yes, Mr. Feng and Mr. Shui got together and put it all together. But they call them, what do they call them right now? Radionics, I think, and Bio Resonance, and a few other names.
Okay.
Some of it quackery. But you have to sift through what is real and what is not real.
Right.
That's the difficulty of this.
Coming back to my last question, which I'm still trying to pursue.
Okay.
Terrence Howard, I know. I mean, he's got ostracized. I know that. And the way they did...
Still being.
Yeah, I know. And every time they put out a video of this guy, it's always like in some compromising part of his talk that makes him look like a quack.
Yeah.
So it's taken out of context. I'm aware. But Doc, you were concerned about also being ostracized, is it? But that's the reason why you don't want to publicly say that, these guys exist. E.T. Is that your concern, Doc?
No.
Okay.
No. I don't have anything to protect. There's no real reputation. I've been spending the last 10 years working on becoming nobody.
Okay.
Yeah, in Bulgaria. And what better place? Nobody ever comes there at all.
You might be surprised. I might come knocking on your door.
My son lives there now, but I would sit in the coffee shop, and once in a while, because my books are also in Bulgarian, a person would come by and they'll look, Mel Gill. I said, "Is that you?" I said, "No, it's not. You're having a dream right now. Keep walking."
Okay, well,
and they think I'm joking, but they come
so
visit anyway.
Why not say what you think and what you feel about this?
For what?
For the show. Thank you very much.
No, I mean, really, no. When you think about it, for what? So that a handful of people, who cannot contribute to making this happen, can believe you. Oh, great! And I go to sleep at night. They can believe me. I'm only concerned with one thing: preserving my life, to be able to take the technology to a level where it becomes reality and everybody can use it, because I'm patenting it in the European Patents Office, but for free general public license, so everyone can use it. I don't want to, there's no money to be made in helping humanity push forward. I went to one of Singapore's richest billionaires. I won't mention, he used to be a classmate. And I said, "Hey, would you like to donate to my foundation to be able to do stuff?" And this was several years back. And I told him roughly what we were doing. And he said, and then he wrote to me, he said, "I cannot help you. I'm not going to give you $1. This man who writes millions of dollars to churches and, donates them and all that. And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because of your tagline, pushing humanity forward, the Dr. Mel Gill Foundation." And I think humanity has been held back in terms of technology, in terms of what is possible for us to do, in terms of what is possible for us to imagine, in terms of, instead of searching for extraterrestrial life, let's find a way to communicate. And the communication cannot be old radio waves, because these things communicate. And how do they do that? With the power of thought. How do they do that? What is the power of thought? And what is thought? It's quantum entanglements, one atom to another across vast distances, billions of light years away, miles away. You can communicate with someone with something faster than light.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? And we're now delving into, DARPA is now delving into these kind of the technical aspects are mind-boggling to begin with, because you need to create a resonant field there and here to be able to communicate.
Right.
Now, wait a minute. It sounds like a lot of psychics who told us how to do all that in a haphazard way with incense and all of that. I just want to throw all that out. And so I nearly cried when this guy told me that, not even $1. And I said, so what will, we're helping humanity, push humanity forward. The only thing that will push humanity forward is if the return of Jesus Christ and he'll does this and that. So I looked at him and I said, but in the meanwhile, while we're waiting, what shall we do? And of course, he never talks to me after that. And why would I want to convince someone that these realities exist when I'll just spend my time sitting over coffee or whiskey or something and saying, hey, listen, okay, have I convinced you? Yes. And they go back and live their little lives doing whatever they're doing. And here I'm giving up everything to be able to prove and to show proof of concept, on a craft that we will build, but not here. We will build it in Bulgaria because they have vast. I bought a large piece of land there to be able to take off and land.
So do you
safely.
think this craft is going to take off into space?
Yeah.
And travel, interstellar travel?
Mine. My craft?
Yeah.
No, my craft is just going to go 140, 180 kilometers up into space.
Right.
It's going to hover there for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it's going to come out logging everything down.
Right.
And with a bunch of people taking a look at what we're doing, land in the middle of this field that I have safely.
Yeah.
And then later we'll take it up again, a few days later, with livestock or something.
Okay.
And land
at incredible
safely.
Speeds. What we see in UAPs.
We're not interested in the speeds yet.
Okay.
Once it shows that we can actually do this without hundreds and hundreds of tons of fuel, then the idea to build entire cities in space, which means we can take huge payloads into space now. It's possible to build cities because girders, steel and other don't have to be lighter now because space, there's no
weight.
There's no weight. So what if you could take all of this hundreds of tons of material into space straight away? And what if you could build over there? Because construction without gravity is a little bit different over there, even if you're creating artificial gravity. So I want to be able to make that possible for everybody to do that. But the thing that might stop the research and might restrict the research is that if you could go freely and somebody for the price of a Mercedes over here can build a similar thing, if they have the patents and everything else, then wait a minute, we don't need passports? No restrictions anymore? What about contraband? What about all of those things? And what about, forget that, what about weapons?
Yeah.
So on and so forth. So those questions come up as I discuss with the Admiral and everybody because
for sure.
They are aware of my research. They've my phones are tapped, everywhere. So because they're aware of what I'm doing, and it's so far an ability to be able to, for benign purposes, to be able to create electricity. Limitless electricity for humanity, to be able to move, into space, materials, large tons of materials, to be able to finally build that space ladder everyone was talking about from Earth to space. Those kind of things now become possible with this technology. It's not that hard.
So, Doc, in your lifetime, have you personally ever encountered anything in the sky that doesn't belong here?
Yeah, several places. My children grew up in a place called Croton-on-Hudson, New York. And just about 30 kilometers north is a place called Pinecrest. Is it called Pinecrest? I think it's called Pinecrest.
Okay.
Just next to the New Jersey border.
Okay.
You get through it from a road called the Bear Mountain Road. And in Pinecrest, the highest incidence of UFO sightings in the whole of the United States. Now, we're talking in the early 90s, right? And so I'm living there and I'm seeing strange lights. And I got my wife, now ex-wife, thank God. We I can't do all this research with it. We sat there in the mattress and my kids were still young, 4 years old.
Yeah.
And looked up at the sky and in Croton, away from New York lights, about 45 miles, you can see everything. And we're near what is called the Indian Point nuclear reactor. We're not far from it. So nuclear reactors tend to attract all of these things.
Missile bases as well.
Yeah, God knows why, and we'll figure it out. But at the same time, we were starting to look at objects and say, what are you doing? I said, we're looking for UFOs. My kids were all having fun. Ha, 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 ha. And as we start to see these things flying, and I said to my ex-wife, take a look at that light. Yeah. That's just a plane. Okay, watch it. It's going this way and it's going that way. It's zigzagging.
Right.
That's not a plane.
It's unusual patterns.
What the heck is that?
Yeah.
So we see that a lot. And the last sighting that we saw, Pine Bush, sorry, it's still called Pine Bush. It just came to me. The last sighting I saw was Singapore.
What? Okay.
Yeah. And we're talking
This is
in
gotta hear.
2000 and I think 2005 or later a little bit. And do you remember the whole country? The country was in a hoo-ha. My friend who was an engineer, I had a home in Seletar Air Base,
Right.
you know, before they broke it down and built everything. And we had a nice community there. We had a newsletter and everything that's all destroyed for progress. And he said, look in the sky, turn around. There was this big glowing object between the clouds and the sky. And it was so bright. The clouds were lit up from behind and the sky was lit up from behind, and it was moving in a trajectory that took it down to the city, and right over the city between Singapore and Batam, it landed in the water. That's what the newspapers here recorded. And some scientists from some science center said, oh, it's the reflection of the moon as they saw the moon. That's not the moon. And here we know.
So from a UFO, it became a USO.
Yes.
Okay. And you saw that.
I didn't see it go down in the water, but I did see it across the sky, and I went, "Oh
And it was
my
moving.
God!"
Yes.
Yes.
How big was it?
Hard to guesstimate. If I looked at the sun and used that as a comparison,
Right.
it was maybe about a quarter the size of the sun.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what color was it glowing?
Green, and it was spinning. You could see it was spinning.
Okay.
Very, very clearly. And apparently, there's a lot of sightings here.
Mhm.
Now. Then I start to understand later that, you know, remember DARPA has a lab here
Yeah.
in Singapore. Are they doing something that's attracting this? Are we sending out microwaves? Because the part that I was involved with, the off-base activity with SRI, the other one was called, I call it Neuro-Phonics. I don't know what else to call it. Sending messages into New York City on microwaves, messages of aggression, messages of passivity.
Yeah.
And we wanted to track the crime waves and see the correlation between crime waves and these messages that we were sending out.
Yeah.
And there were correlations were direct and damn near 100%.
Yeah. I've read about that too.
Yes. I was involved with that. And my part in that was to come up with the suggestions from an NLP perspective, Ericksonian perspective, to make them irresistible.
Yeah.
And so you can imagine we had at that time the ability to send in a directional fashion microwaves embedded with messages.
Yeah.
Into New York City so that they would bounce off craniums of people and they would feel it like sounds.
Right.
And they would feel like something inside of them telling them what to do.
Yeah.
So people were, unaware of what's happening. And this is now perfected beyond belief. So you can influence anybody at any place.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, we had the technology at that time to directionalize sound waves. So in other words, you'll be sitting here, someone is sitting next to you and a third person, and someone from maybe 400 yards away. I don't know meters.
Okay, 400 homes, backyards of homes away. Okay, fine.
Yeah, there you go. Would be able to send a message or sound to you.
Yeah.
And that sound would impact you. You'd hear it, but the person next to you won't.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing. And we still have this. And I don't know why.
When you say we, you're talking about who?
We, meaning the earth, the people. We have all of this ability. I mean, if you look it up, directional sound waves.
Yeah.
You should be able to find a lot of literature on it.
Right.
So now there's a lot of not just naysayers. How do you call the disinformation campaign that's going on, and people...
The disinformation. Yeah, disinformation campaign. Let's just call it that.
It's hard, in the long run, Chris, when you talk about this, right?
Which is what Dr. Stephen Greer has been talking about.
Yeah, he gave up an entire career as an emergency doctor.
Yeah, and he's got CE5 going right now, right?
And
have you met the man?
Yes. Several times at conventions.
Wow.
Only at conventions and not personally to discuss, because they're very cagey about this. And we're talking 10 years ago before I started anything. And I decided to do it on my own because they were wary of people coming and doing
don't blame
stuff.
them.
And you can't blame them. They are talking about a disclosure that's happening probably this year, next year. But with massive disinformation campaign happening at the same time on the UAPs and everything else. So I try to stay out of the limelight as much as possible. And I try to see if I can find like-minded people that will come and work with me on the technology. I'm not interested in sitting down and talking about alien civilizations and how they make love without or with clothes and here and there and this and that. You know, hey, look, shake hands. This is how they mate. Oh, okay, yeah. What do we do? I'm not interested in that. I'm just interested in the technology. 100% focus on the technology.
Okay.
If we can utilize a lot of this technology to help humanity push forward, then we will not have poverty.
But don't you think that there have been down alien craft that's been re-engineered or reversed engineered, and they've seen these technologies, you know, people like Skunk Works, et cetera,
yeah,
right? And the DOD, the DIA, they come together, they reversed engineered, isn't it? So if allegedly there are down craft around the world, they would have used or discovered, for example, how, you know, people have said the skin of these craft, this non-terrestrial craft, seamless, man. No nuts, no bolts, no welding, nothing.
But the ones that we made are not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like the triangular ones that you see the ones that's got plates and screws and rivets. You see
the plumbing. Yeah.
That's man-made.
Yeah. Because a lot of superconducting fluid is needed for that.
Yeah, but I mean, the technology, if it's been reverse engineered, I think where your craft is concerned, I mean, wouldn't it pay dividends for you to get to know some people where you can also have more advancement on what you want to develop?
I have 2 or 3 people working on different sites.
Now we talk.
They are not they're not your average scientist. Okay. They are working at other quote unquote regular jobs. Some are farmers actually, but with very powerful ability to build devices and what have you. One with we call it super unity device to create electricity. It works, but on a small scale, not yet for the whole house. And the minute we do that, then we can start to say, okay, let's take it forward. But then a lot of people have unreal ideas about the fact that they can earn millions and billions from this. That's not the point. And I try to avoid those people as well. And I understand where they're from because they put their whole life in there. But if you want to understand what I'm doing and the technology, it's very similar to Townsend Brown, the Brown Effect.
I look like an absolute noob right now. I know.
No. Look it up.
School me, please.
Look it up. Townsend Brown created the Biefeld-Brown Effect.
What the fuck is that?
The Biefeld-Brown Effect. Look it up. It's on the internet. And if your viewers and listeners are listening to this, the Biefeld-Brown Effect uses high density magnetic fields in conjunction with high voltage electricity,
right,
to be able to create this lift from plates that are very much looking like craft, this UFO craft. And they fly, but they fly uncontrollably.
Right.
There's no control until somebody discovered that radio waves control them. And directed radio waves can decide the steering on the craft as well. That's why in the recent meaning last 30, 40 years since Roswell, we've been able to, we say they fell from the sky. I mean, come on.
No, they were shot down by radio waves.
By using these radio waves.
But when people
directed.
But Lazar did say that these craft fly because the pilots of these craft use their consciousness to fly.
Consciousness assisted technology is now going to be, it's not yet, but it is going to be the rage. And if you want to study anything, study that and see how that works. And if you can somehow mold your thinking into understanding that there is a lot you don't understand in terms of what you've learned in physics and mathematics, then you begin to open yourself to the idea that we need to revisit what we were told is real. And some people are talking about the fact that we live in a simulation of one kind or another.
The Matrix.
Well, to be able to create that simulation, because somebody had to, is a vast technology we don't have.
Absolutely vast.
We don't.
Yeah.
So we are now in what you know as your house.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you, after this, will go have a cup of coffee, have a smoke, have a beer, make love to you.
Okay.
Whoever.
I get the picture, yeah.
You are living a life here in Singapore.
Yeah.
What if you really knew that this is not life? That there is much more than this, that there's this whole collective called humanity that together can take off from this earth so that we are an interstellar species to be able to, what Musk is doing. I mean, my God, this guy is not human. The fact that
doesn't look human either.
The way that's what Amber Heard said. But anyway, she was referring to something else, though. And she was measuring in centimeters. So when you start to think that your life, your mundane life, live, work at a job, do something, you know, you said you were teaching this stuff about voice and stuff.
Yeah.
Great. You will make so much money from this. It's not funny because everybody want to sound like you. You have a great voice.
Thank you.
A very resonant vibrato sort of thing, you know, and you have the confidence with it, except that if you had more of a attitude.
Okay. More of an attitude.
I'm teaching you because you're too humble in the way you're doing things.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
Yeah. If you had a little bit more of an attitude, I think you could make a lot of people want to attend your program. And what do you charge? Do we talk about what you charge?
No, I don't charge anything.
What?
Yeah.
How many days is it?
What do you mean for my course?
Your course.
Oh, my course. Of course I do.
Can we talk about it? No,
let's not talk about the charges then.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, I don't come cheap.
That's what she said in Geylang.
No, I do not come cheap.
I don't come cheap too.
I don't come cheap.
Yeah, okay.
Neither do you. You don't come cheap either. I know that.
Come
on.
I'm expensive. Yeah,
but you know something? You're the second guy that told me this. That told me that I'm too humble.
Yeah,
or too nice.
Too self-effacing.
Self-effacing?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
You see, when I... Sorry, we're off the topic now.
No, it's fine. It's cool.
Let's
It's a
talk about
podcast.
the personality.
It's a podcast, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, I look at you and you are this amazing, larger-than-life character. I heard you sing that one time on that island somewhere. I don't know where he had that seminar.
I can't remember which island either.
I do so many seminars. I have no idea where I am. Sometimes I wake up in the morning... What part of the world am I in? And I have no idea. But in the last 10 years, I can tell you exactly where I am because I kind of gave up all that for a while.
Okay.
But you have this presence, but you also at the same time need to intensify that presence, and your charisma is unmistakable. And you can multiply it 100 times with just say, for instance, like don't expand, just put your hands together a little bit on top in front of you. Just look at me. And just, you know how people frown?
Yeah.
I want you to frown and then open your eyes while frowning.
Okay.
Okay, can you do that? Yeah, look at that.
This is a famous Henson frown, by the way. Do I get one eyebrow up too?
Trademark it, yeah. So when you do that, it's a different picture that you take also at the same time.
Okay.
So I'm not asking you to be not friendly because you are, definitely, but become a little bit unapproachable to the point where people have to almost ask permission to be in your presence. You know what I mean?
Okay, I know what you mean. If I'm not trying to defend myself here, but I would just say
sounds like you are.
No, I'm not going to, because I'm going to give you facts. I'm going to give you facts.
Oops, sorry.
7 out of 10 of my guests come to the show with a lot of trepidation because they feel like I am going to go for the jugular. Okay.
Jugular.
Yeah. Basically, I'm going to dig a lot of things
You
out.
went for the balls with my case.
Well, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, balls and jugglers aside,
Okay.
I've also had a lot of people, notable people, who have said to me, Chris, I've told you stuff I've not told anyone in hundreds of interviews I've been to.
Same here.
And the reason for that happens...
Do you know this is the first time I'm talking about any of the stuff?
Oh, great.
Except for one or two people that I think...
It's because I'm a nice guy.
No. I think it's about time.
For you to talk.
Yeah.
And you got a nice guy in front of you. That's the reason why you can talk.
Oh, I see. You made it possible.
Of course. I always do. Doc.
Rapport.
In case you don't, Doc. I've said this a few times to a few people on my show, for a few episodes. You might not know this, but I'm Master Clinical Certified Hypnotherapist. So, Ericksonian, I know all that. And I don't deliberately go out there and do this.
Where did you learn? Just curious.
Dr. George Bien.
I brought him to Singapore.
I know.
I found him where I found him in New York City.
Yeah.
He was charging $45
Really?
for doing what he was doing in New York.
Really?
I said, George, you are too talented for this. You want to come to Singapore and find out more?
I did a preview seminar for him after I got certified. But anyway,
Right.
That's a story for another day.
Yeah, I don't work for him.
So you're the second guy to tell me this.
With him, yeah.
You know, for your second guy to tell me this. And it's been, 3 seasons. And I'm now, no, this is 4 seasons now. With you, it's 4 seasons. So all the while.
This program?
Yeah, this particular episode.
A season is how many months?
Not months. Season would be, 14, 15 episodes. And we fill up for about 4 or 5 months.
Okay.
So 4 seasons have come by and come and gone. We're now in the midst of season 4 anyway. And before that, I had another podcast I was on, but it wasn't mine. It belonged to another production company. Mm-hmm. And I've had all the people that I've had on my show, except for you and the other guy, Joe Augustine, who told me, Chris, you're just too nice. You're not edgy. Yeah, but I want people to talk. And I really want people to tell me things, and I really rather be non-intimidating.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you find me intimidating?
No.
Not at all.
A little. Because of reputation.
Okay.
That's because I know you by reputation as well from before.
Right. Yeah. Right. People should know you from reputation as well. Number one.
Yeah.
And number two, when you meet me, you begin to realize, wait a minute, this guy is actually very nice. But there's a serious side to him. And so you don't want to make it all nice. You want to allow the niceness to be able to create the rapport for them to open up and then get serious with the questions. It's a little bit different. It's a balance.
Sure, Doc.
And it's always dynamic. And It's always moving.
Sure.
And trust me, everybody will want to be part of that whole thing. And the point of what I'm saying is, and I got distracted, sorry, is that from that program, you can make a lot of money. And what I was trying to tell people to do, become a trainer, okay? Which is all these foreigners coming in, white people, I won't mention them because they are here currently and coming currently. They have there's some racial archetype in people's Asians' head that
Pinkerton syndrome, man.
No, the reality is they can't get jobs. They cannot get the same things.
And that's the reason why the fuck they come here.
And they come here because these stupid Asian people are paying so much money to listen to these clowns.
I know. Yeah.
But and then here's the tough part. The people don't realize the country and cities that I come from, New York, Chicago, Seattle, LA.
They want to listen to the Asians.
There are next to the newspaper stands, are these little stands called the Learning Annex.
Okay.
Now, the Learning Annex is the one that, what's his name? Kiyosaki owed $35 million to and defaulted by closing his company and didn't pay them. They are livid because they made him who he was.
Okay.
Rich dad, poor mom.
Rich dad, poor dad.
I have no idea how. The point is they made him who he was.
Cash flow quadrant. Yeah.
And these people Kiyosaki, Robbins, and all these other people were charging like $45, $50 for one session in the night. Now, this is 20, 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
While I was there 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then they come here and all of a sudden realize, wait a minute, somebody was teaching in money mind intensives, whatever you call that thing, monkey mind, whatever it was. The point was they were not making a lot of money back where they were.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people were paying a lot of money too.
Right.
But over here, suddenly people were paying thousands of dollars and you got massive numbers of people and you spew a lot of stuff that's useful, not useful, and so on and so forth. And it becomes this. And now if you're a trainer, let's say you're an Asian trainer, you charge for a presentation class, let's say one day.
Right.
9 to 5. And let's say you charge $100. That's cheap, very cheap. And that's, make it US so it's easier to calculate. And you have easily 100 people, 200 people. How many people?
I have
at that price.
My classes is 1-to-1.
Oh, okay.
And it's a lot
consultation.
It's a lot more than that. Coaching.
Okay, good. But I'm talking about becoming a trainer. So let's say you have 100 people at $100. How much is that?
I know, but
that's $10,000.
Yeah, but
in one weekend, no job pays you that. Become trainers.
I know, but
these option people that teaches you how to make billions making options, but charge $5,000 for their courses. Well, guess how they're making their money?
I'm aware, Doc.
Yeah,
I'm aware.
So become a teacher. You'll be surprised.
Yeah, but my classes, I enjoy doing the 1-to-1s. I don't come cheap. I really don't. So, then again, that's also the issue because it doesn't come cheap. But it is 1-to-1 and I prefer it that way. And I do get people going somehow. They go places, which is great. Yeah. But anyway, Kai, a lot of this chunk we got to cut. You know that, right?
At some point you're going to be exhausted doing all this.
Yeah, I know.
Save the money.
Yeah.
Make all of that. And guess what? You'll be able to enter into a different dimension where you are now working for a greater cause.
Well, Doctor, let me tell you what I really love right here, right now. This.
Okay. Yes.
This is what I love.
Wow.
This is my dream.
Cool.
This is what I'm doing. And I love this.
I can feel it.
Yeah, I love this very much.
I love your studio.
Hey, thanks, man.
I love your house.
Thanks very much, man.
Your house is really nice. It's
a good vibe, huh?
I don't want to leave.
We're vibing here.
Yeah.
We're vibing here.
Yeah.
So, Doc, you heard about this thing about, you talked about resonance frequency. I've been talking about that so often on this program, in this series. The last time, for this season, the last time we spoke about aliens and stuff was with my friend Bong. And we were talking about Bigfoot. And
both of you were sharing a bong? Or
No. His name is Bong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Okay. Never looked at it that way, but thank you so much.
Oh, okay.
The next time I say, okay, Bong, can I smoke you?
Yeah. I was just going to say.
And we were talking about Bigfoot. And the story about Bigfoot is that it has this growl that paralyzes you. It's a low frequency thing. And then the first episode for the last season, I had this wonderful person here, Alice, Shirley Tay. And she is into this wellness thing. And she brought her singing bowls, right? And she had one that gives you the higher frequency, the higher note, and the other one at the lower frequency. And when she hit that one at the lower frequency, freaked me out. I felt that there was something behind me. I didn't like it. And then the Bigfoot thing came about. And then we realized that people get paralyzed by fear when they hear that little growl. That the only other animal that does this is it's a tiger.
Tiger.
Right? Yeah. And Bigfoot apparently releases the same harmonics. And it paralyzes people.
Can you recreate it?
Oh man, I don't know, man.
Try.
I can't. It's basically.
Don't call yourself names.
It's fucking hell. It's a harmonics that is not. You can't really hear in the human ear. It's at that level. what's the word for it? There's a term for it. Something harmonics. No. You really can't hear it. Can't hear it. You can't hear it. Can't hear it. And then I discovered a couple of days ago that these spacecraft that people witness, usually they're silent. They can't hear a thing. But sometimes you do.
You hear a hum.
A hum.
Yeah.
And a hum at intervals, right? So as it's slowing down.
Oh, the other sighting. Yes. Ask me about it.
Okay.
Varna.
And it's a D1 sharp. The key to the hum is the key D1 sharp.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So it's all about these frequencies, man. The hums, the resonance, all the harmonics that come into play. I think is a lot of these things that has got to do with controlling free energy to keep it in control is more about sound than anything else.
A lot of what we're working on is an offshoot of cymatics. Are you familiar with cymatics?
No.
CY.
CY?
MATICS.
Okay.
Cymatics is the science of sound and resonance.
Okay.
A German scientist a long time ago had a big brass plate, threw some sand on it, sent some sounds across the plates, and they start to form
patterns.
Yeah. And one of the most intriguing patterns will form with a very different harmonic than what we knew existed, and it involves something called the flower of life formation.
Right.
And we found that meaning me, myself, and I found that that when you start to utilize that harmonic in anything you did, especially in my Neuro-Phonics tapes and series, and I used to sell all these things, I stopped because I knew that there was much more. And people were being helped by all my tapes and everything that I sent out there, 5 in particular, to raise genius, to find your soulmate.
Like Stephen helping stuff.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And Stephen I've met a lot because we share something in common, music.
Yeah.
And who was the other fellow, that the barefoot musician as well? I heard George Winston. Have you heard of George Winston stuff? Way back in 79 when I heard him, it was it's something that captivated me in the store. And I bought it, everything he had, George Winston. I think the album is called Autumn. Go get it, listen to it. And I'm telling you, you sit transfixed and you start crying and don't know why you're crying. You just cry.
Okay.
And that brought out a lot. And then I began to use a lot of these frequencies with therapy, and especially with primal therapy. And that was my specialty at that time in the early 80s and what have you, because Stephen Levinson was the one that trained me into all of this. And then I was starting to learn with Arthur Janoff about primal therapy in California. Arthur is dead now, but he was my quote unquote teacher at that time in the techniques that he was using.
Right. Wow.
A lot of this involved sounds.
Okay.
And at that time they used music, not realizing that it's sound. Stephen Halpin was the leader in all of this at that time.
Yeah.
And so were a slew of other people. They were Blue Ocean Strategy. There was no one else doing all of this. And he had a lot of flack for doing this, but people loved the music and they felt something inside. Now everybody and their mother can generate these frequencies with machines you can buy for $200 off the internet, set the frequencies and be able to create these, what did they call them? Royal Rife frequencies, so that you can cure diseases and what have you. And that's a whole different field I don't want to get into yet, but I want to make it free for people so that they can go to a site, listen to what it is, and be able to resonate that particular part of their body that needs that resonance to be able to heal itself.
Yeah, but also on frequency and harmonics. I mean, there's this thing called HAARP.
Yes.
And HAARP.
It's in 3 places on the planet right now.
No, it's in Alaska, isn't it?
Alaska is one. The other is in the Antarctic. And there's one more in a desert.
This is the end of this chapter. Catch the final chapter next week.